This is Polyamory Weekly, tales from the front of responsible non-monogamy from a pansexual, kink-friendly point of view. A warning for our under-18 listeners. This is an adult-oriented podcast about really lascivious things, like communication and honesty in relationships. If you're under 18 and looking for upfront advice and answers to questions about sex, please visit scarletteen.com.
This is Polyamory Weekly, episode 552 for March 25th, 2018. Coming up on today's show, my wife chose her lover over me. That's coming up on today's show. Hello, everyone. I'm your host, Minx, and back in the co-host chair today is Lusty Guy.
Happy to be here as always, and feeling lucky to be here as always.
I feel very lucky that you are here.
Well, I did just have a dive this morning, so that always makes me feel lucky when they're done. It's like riding a motorcycle. You get to where you're going, and you're happy you got there.
Yeah, I don't know how much we've talked about that on the show in the past, 6 months or so, you've taken up scuba diving.
I have, yes.
And, oh my gosh, I swear he's happier after scuba diving than after sex.
I think that might be an
It's pretty similar.
Well, it's similar.
It's pretty similar.
It's in the same class.
It does require more equipment, though.
Quite a bit more. I don't care how big your toy bag is. As soon as I say that, somebody's going to be like, wow.
Somebody's going to show you their giant toy bag.
My toy bag. But no, having said that, it's an amazing thing, and it's an activity that I know will be with me in the way that I've always known sex will be with me, and that I'll enjoy it and enjoy the company of people I'm attracted to, and that theater and acting and martial arts have been. So yeah, it's a new passion that will, I'm sure, be with me for my life.
Yeah. And you wanted to do it for a long time.
Oh yeah,
you
as long as I can
didn't think that
remember.
you could because of asthma and heart condition and stuff, but it turned out you can.
I can. That's right.
Yeah. Yay.
Yay.
That's our host chat segment where we talk about things relatively unrelated to polyamory, but just hopefully because you like us and hopefully you're not hitting the fast forward button right now too much.
So I guess that's Minx's way of saying back on topic now.
We are on topic. Oh, wait, look, a squirrel. So a couple of announcements before we get to our topic this week. We've got some events coming up next month.
We do. We're traveling.
Yeah. First one coming up really quickly, Southwest Love Fest in Tucson, Arizona, April 6th through the 8th. We've mentioned it a couple times, but not in the last 2 weeks, I think.
Well, we're hoping to see people there. It'll be sunshiny and warm.
Here's hoping. And I think we'll see Kevin Patterson there.
I think Kevin and Ruby's going to be there.
Yep. He's on the rounds with his awesome new book. And we'll be teaching Painless Poly Dating 101 and Poly Pitfalls, Fixing Things When They Break, otherwise known as how to argue. Or how to resolve arguments, I should say.
That's right.
It's more about how to strive for resolution.
And how to look at arguments, even.
Exactly. And that's our first time at that event, by the way.
Yep. Make sure and come and say hi.
Yes. So if you are coming, then please do come by and say hi. I'm shouting out to any introverts that may be afraid. We are giving you permission to come up and say hello. And if you're so inclined, take a selfie with us. We're also going to be at RelateCon in Boise. We were there last year, and we're so excited we get to go back the very next year.
Yeah, it was a great time last year. We had a lot of fun, and we're looking forward to it. And furthermore, we're debuting a brand new class this year.
That's true. We've got a new class called The Art of the Breakup, and it's all about what to expect from breakups, how to have good, healthy breakups, what a good, healthy breakup actually is, misconceptions. It's going to be a fun class. Lusty Guy's been working really hard to put it together.
I hope so. I'm really looking forward to debuting it there. And again, make sure if you see us, you come up and say hello, and we will have books for sale and signings, and you can give us feedback on what you think of this brand new class.
That's true. Oh, and on us, for that matter.
No.
If you think we suck, then please come up and tell us what we can do better.
No, she's lying. Don't tell us it's not true.
In a constructive way.
There you go.
We like constructive criticism, we do.
Well.
And one final announcement, a listener wrote in and let us know that Professor Marsten and the Wonder Woman, that great movie we talked about a few months ago, is now available for streaming on Hulu. And I put a link in the show notes, which you can get directly from your app or by visiting polyweekly.com. And another note on that, so I felt really bad that I hadn't read the book The Secret History of Wonder Woman, the Jill Lepore book, which you had read a while back. And so after we saw the movie, I decided to read the book. And I ended up getting about halfway through. And for maybe the first time in my life, I made a conscious decision that I was just not going to finish the book. Because frankly, William Moulton Marston, kind of an asshole.
Yeah, he's not a very sympathetic figure at a certain stage in the book.
When I got to the point of the book where he and Elizabeth Holloway and Olive Byrne all moved into the family home together, and there were kids running around, and Elizabeth was the one that went into the city to every day. Oh, they had another lover who apparently lit incense and did stuff in the attic and was barely mentioned. Lauren, I want to say her name was.
Came in and out of the life. Sometimes she was there and sometimes she wasn't.
So basically, there were like 7 people that Elizabeth was supporting with her single salary. Olive would basically fake articles, pretending like she didn't know who this psychologist was and that she was coming to visit him, like she was writing an expose as a journalist. She was fucking him and living with him. And she wrote these articles like, oh, I went to this little house, blah, blah. So basically, she was like his PR spin person trying to get him more work. And he would basically be in his office drinking a lot of booze and apparently yelling angrily around the house that everybody needed to be quiet so that he could work.
Now, I bring this up not to start a discussion about the details of that point in time in the book, as I'm sure somebody's writing right now to tell Minx, well, but you missed this and you forgot. Okay, that's fine. That's not the point. The point here, and what I think is important, is the permission that Minx gave herself not to finish a book she wasn't enjoying.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people labor under this assumption that once you start a book or a movie or whatever, you have to finish it. And I'm here to tell you, life is too short for that. If you're not having a good time with that piece of entertainment, whatever it happens to be, give yourself permission to give it the thumbs down, hope that somebody executes it quickly, and get it out of your life. That is okay.
Yes. So now I've switched to reading Americanah by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie, whom I heard speak on International Women's Day, and whom I'm far more interested in her writings than I am in reading more about a person that, I really wanted to like. The guy who wrote Wonder Woman, I really don't.
You're really just begging for letters to be written in. I'm just saying. I'm just, for the record,
That's
the
Poly
person who's
Weekly.
like, here's the other portion of the book, the thing that you're not, here it comes, I know.
Maybe I should redo that bit.
No, I think you should let her go.
I do owe you guys a bit of an apology. In the last couple of weeks, I've really been lackadaisical about checking Poly in the news. It took a couple weeks to recover from some minor surgery. I didn't have a lot of time, and so I was basically just trying to get the episodes out and didn't do a really good job of tracking news like I'd like. And so I missed some really good stuff. And one of the cool things that I missed was on March 1st, the Today Show here in the States did a full hour on polyamory. In fact, Alan's comment in the Poly in the News blog to start out was, damn, that was good, all caps. And I have never seen Alan use all caps before.
No, Alan's not really an all caps kind of guy.
He is not. Now, he only used one exclamation point, but I think that's
it's all
because
caps.
I think that multiple exclamation points are really, not within his journalistic purview. Anyway, his review of the performance, or the appearance, I guess I should say, of this quad sounds amazing. It sounds like they represented each other well. They represented Poly well. It, apart from the fact that there is, I will point out, it doesn't look like there's much racial diversity. But apart from that, it sounds like it was a really good representation of Poly in mainstream media.
When your social movement is getting a full hour special on the morning news shows, I think you kind of arrive. People are noticing. You're no longer on the outskirts. We'll put it that way.
I keep saying we're not fringe anymore. Polyamory is pretty damn close to mainstream at this point.
It's snuggling right up next to it. And I really probably shouldn't say this, but I can't help it. I remember an argument I had with a producing friend of mine a few years ago on which was going to be bigger sooner, polyamory or steampunk. And I just got to say, no steampunk on the Today Show. Okay, I'll stop.
Our topic this week was a listener question who called in to the comment line.
Hey, Minx. Hey, guys. This is the first time calling the phone line. We recently, my wife started opening a relationship. However, recently I had a concern where we've been very busy. I currently basically have 4 jobs. Work at a restaurant, part-time, work for a home center, part-time, and work for National Guard, basically. And then I do Uber almost every weekend if I can. Long story short, I'm very busy. My wife has 1 job. Most of this time I've been the one that's been very busy. I recently had a issue where my wife picked me up from work because we only have 1 car. And first thing she told me, she said she missed me. But then again, right after that, told me she was just going to drop me off home so she can meet with her in-town lover, who seems like a really cool guy. Seems like everything was fine. But it really got to me that she was trying to just leave right after she told me that she missed me. It kind of took away from the fact that she told me she missed me. As a matter of fact, I don't believe her. And what hurts me the most is that I feel like she's lying and she's not willing to do anything. There was a conflict because I told her how I felt about it. And pretty much I just told her to not tell me she misses me right before she's about to leave. And then it's something she could have basically canceled without it being a big concern. And I mentioned her lover, just the short story, basically they're pretty much fuck buddies. I understand they don't have anything too deep. So it is all about the sex between the 2 of them, as far as I understand. Anyways, the concern was there was conflict with her, and we were pretty upset. I told her, I have to do homework really quick, and she was extremely mad, and she walked out, and this is around 2 a.m. maybe. She walked out really pissed, and basically just went straight to the lover's house, and she didn't come back to 5 a.m. My concern was, in a case like this where I had something to do, and even though I really like spending time with her, even if we're not doing something, just spending time together, and she being upset and leaving, basically just go and have a good time or have sex. I feel she did it out of anger. What does one do in cases like this? I don't remember being so upset at her actions. As a matter of fact, I don't remember ever being so upset at somebody because of the things she did. And I feel, yes, she wanted to have sex, but ultimately she left because she was upset. And instead of having makeup sex, she had the opposite. Angry, upsetting, conflicting sex with somebody else, if that's the best way to put it. Anyways, Minx, hopefully there is something you can say about that, or maybe a word of advice that you can give me.
Well, Cesar, thank you so much for calling in. And let me just start off by saying that I'm sorry you had this experience. It sounds like it was really hard for you, and that it hurt when your wife went to spend the evening with her lover after telling you that she missed you.
Yeah, I think right off the top, one of the things that we want to do is acknowledge the pain that you're obviously feeling. It's apparent in your voice, and I just want to make sure you understand that pain matters and it's real to you, and really you get to feel however you feel. We're going to say some things that come on here that you might feel like we're jumping on you or calling you out or something like that. To a greater or lesser extent, that's more or less true. But what is true is you get to feel how you feel. Your pain is real and matters. And, and I'm sorry that you're there and that you feel that right now.
Well, and it's a relatable pain, too. If you don't get to spend a lot of time with your partner because you have 4 jobs and you want to spend the night with your partner and your partner says, I miss you, and then leaves, I feel you. I have abandonment issues, too. That would be hard for me, too.
Oh, yeah. I think I've made that exact complaint, telling me you're missing me as you walk out the door.
Yeah, that can be tough. That being said, where do we want to start?
Well, I have a question for you. We'll start with this question. When you mentioned that your wife picked you up after work and was going out for a date with another lover, was that known to you in advance, or was that a surprise? And I say that because one behavioral principle that we're going to be able to maybe give you and help is this notion that you want to avoid surprises with your partner. So if you didn't know that she was going to be dropping you off and then going away until she picked you up, that would make it harder to deal with than if you had known a day or two in advance. So just to kind of try to feed that in there for you guys to consider, work on minimizing surprises because it makes it easier to deal with certain things.
Agreed. I mean, we don't really have many rules in our poly relationship because you know that I'm not generally a big fan of rules. But one of the sort of guidelines that we have is, folks, let's just not have any surprises. And that means that if somebody's going to be gone, if somebody can't do something they said they were going to do, then we give the other people in the relationship a heads up.
As soon as we know.
Yeah. I mean, just this week, you asked if you could move our date night to Friday night instead of Thursday night so that you could help out a friend who needed a little emotional time and a little bit of chat time. And I said, of course. Now, if you had surprised me with that, probably still would have been okay, frankly. But, you know, it would have
been harder.
It would have been a little harder. And I appreciate the respect that you show me when you check in and say, hey, this friend really needs me. And I know you're not going to do it. You know, I know you don't want to move our date nights and that you generally aren't going to do it unless it's something that's pretty important. So I can respect you right back and say, of course.
Now, let's pull our focus back a little bit here. Minx and I both had a question. In the beginning, you say, we opened, and then you say, my wife opened. And now, I'm not quite sure if opening up this relationship is something that you've fully bought into, and you feel like it's a choice that you have made and something you guys are doing together, or if it's something that you've kind of had to do because your wife insisted. Now, if the latter, that you're feeling like you had to do it, that's going to provide emotional energy and make everything else harder. Now, you didn't talk about that and you didn't bring it up, and I don't even know if it's true, so we're not going to spend a lot of time on that area. But if it's true that you did not actually want to have an open relationship, you've got a whole nother topic to wrestle and deal with. And again, it's one that you are completely legit in how you feel. But if it is true that that was just a phrasing thing and you're bought in and you're happy to have polyamory, then, you know, away you go and forget I even mentioned it.
Yeah, I had that question as well. And it sounds like you yourself either don't have additional partners or maybe you don't have time for partners. That was unclear. And it was unclear whether you self-identified as poly or mono. So that was a question I had as well. And yeah, if you do self-identify as mono and your wife self-identifies as poly, it's not impossible, but it's a really tough situation to deal with. And it's something that you guys should talk about and take the time to unpack your feelings around that.
All right, now we're going to kind of get into some meat. One of the things that you've said here is that when she said, I miss you, and then left, you felt like she was lying. Now, I can understand that. I've been in the same situation, the exact same situation, with a lover telling me they miss me as they leave to go see another lover. Here's the thing. You have to let everybody be the expert on themselves. When they tell you how they are feeling, believe them. Continue to believe them until so much evidence accumulates that you simply can't do it anymore. And then you've got another problem. You probably are with somebody who is a liar or an addict or something weird is going on. But if it's a limited number of incidences, if it's a one-off kind of thing, believe them when they tell you how they're feeling. The truth is, she probably does miss you. That she has this date, this conflict, and has to leave right now, doesn't mean that she misses you any less. It means that she also has this date. When someone tells you they miss you, the correct answer is, shall we schedule some time to be together? What can we do to address that? Would you like to cuddle? I miss you too.
I was going to suggest, I miss you too. When can we schedule some naked snuggling?
Exactly. Here's the thing. I miss you is an expression of vulnerability. And if you meet that vulnerability with disbelief, you're doing everybody a disservice.
And one of the things that Lusty Guy does say all the time is, you get to be the expert on you. You have to let your wife be the expert on her. If she says she misses you, kind of got to believe her until, as Lusty Guy says, you have a mountain of evidence, physical evidence to the contrary. And to vehemently agree with Lusty Guy, it can be absolutely true that she misses you and while she's leaving. I can tell my kids that I miss them as I'm going off to work, and it doesn't make it less true because I have to go off to work. Both of those things can happen.
Now, here's another thing to think about. When she says, I miss you, she's telling you how she feels. Never tell a partner not to tell you how they feel. They just might take you at your word.
Because you did mention that you asked her to stop saying she misses you.
Right.
And that we would highly recommend against.
That's a bad move. Now, it's totally legit to say, when you say you miss me as you are leaving, it hurts my feelings. It makes me feel like I have a hard time trusting you. It makes me feel like there's a conflict between your words and behavior. That's one thing. It's another thing to say, don't do that.
And for those that have taken our classes, or been to therapy ever, do you notice that when you blank, I feel blank structure? When you say, I miss you as you leave, it makes me feel XYZ. She shares her feelings, you share your feelings. And then you can start working together on how to help both of you feeling better.
Now, here's the question for you. Would you prefer she did not miss you? Of course not. We want to be missed. So I give you that, and I give you the notion of not asking them to stop telling you how they feel. Because what you need to do here is re-engineer your cognitions around this experience. Right now, you're interpreting and hearing this, I miss you, when you're walking out the door as a conflict, as an evidence of something to disbelieve, as something that is hurtful. You've got to rewire your interpretation of this inside and start looking at it as an expression of vulnerability that she is trusting you enough to share with you in this moment. Start thinking about it as an expression of the state you want her to be in. You would much rather she missed you than didn't. And start really picking apart the hurt there so that you can re-engineer your response to this stimuli. Because this one's kind of on you, man. You have got to be able to let your partner say, I miss you and I love you, even in times when it hurts, because it does sometimes. I've been there. Believe me, I've been your exact shoes, whatever, position. When a lover tells you they miss you as they're leaving, it can hurt. It can. Now, you got to be the adult and do the right thing when it hurts. So that's that particular one. Next thing I heard in your call-in was a whole lot of borrowing trouble, my friend. When you say she left here to go have sex with somebody else, you don't know what she did. She may very well have sat in the car and cried and been miserable. She may have gone on her date and been miserable and infected her misery on her date. She may have had great plans to go swing from the chandeliers, got there and felt awful, and instead they ate pizza and ice cream. Don't torment yourself with what you don't know. And pretty much anything going on in her head, you don't know. You know what's going on in your head. Focus on that. You feel like you want to spend more time with her? Say so. That's okay.
That was the big thing that I noticed in your call is that you didn't share with us. Now, you may have done this, but it doesn't sound to me like you have actually told her what it is that you want. You haven't told her specifically, I want more time with you. I work 4 jobs. I don't get much time with you. How can we work together to find a way that we can spend time together so that I feel special, so that, when you leave, I feel like I get to miss you maybe a little bit.
Exactly. Ask for what you want.
Yeah.
Figure out what you want and need and ask for it. And if what you want and need is more time and more quality time with your partner, then it's one thing to just say that. It's another thing to say that and follow it up with actionable plans. Mm-hmm. So, I miss you. I want to spend more time with you. I know you've got Wednesday night off. Can we plan for Wednesday night, just you and me? Something like that. So, ask for what you want, my friend, and you just might get it. And whatever you want is okay. Now, one last thing that I heard that I got to comment on. You say that she left you to go have makeup sex with somebody else.
Or to go have sex with somebody else instead of having makeup sex with you. Sorry, I shouldn't laugh.
Well, in any case, here's the deal. Makeup sex comes after you've made up.
That is why I was laughing. I wasn't laughing at you. I was saying, well, you need to...
You got to make up first, man. So if you haven't made up, you can't have makeup sex.
Yeah, you haven't told her what you wanted yet. You haven't worked out, you know, how you can get what you want. You haven't been vulnerable.
Well, and let's be specific. You will know you've made up when both of you have a shared mutual of understanding of what the conflict was. You've both apologized for your portions of it, and you've both agreed on what you're going to do to minimize future occurrences of it. And there might even have been a Gracie gift. All of this from our Fixing Things When It Breaks class.
Yes, that is a quick summary of the Poly Pitfalls, Fixing Things When They Break class. So there you go. Don't need to take the class now.
That's not true. You've missed all kinds of things. I can't believe she defied the marketing gods. She's going to be struck down by Ron Pompeo.
I'm giving her one for free.
That's right. First one's free.
And
there
it's
you go.
Popeil.
Popeil. Thank you. Speaking of cursing the gods. But in any case, here's the thing, man. Makeup sex is not something that just happens because you fought. Makeup sex happens because you have fought and then made up.
Yeah.
Not when somebody goes away. And believe me, I understand wanting to make up sex. I do too. But to get there, you have
want
to.
Any sex.
Well, that's.
You want all the sex.
That's pretty close.
Yeah.
Pretty close to true. In any case, to get there, you got to make up first, my friend. And to make up first, you're going to have to match her vulnerability with your own. And you're going to have to get to that point where everybody agrees on what happened, how to make sure it doesn't happen again, how to apologize, and what amends to make. But again, I want to emphasize that I absolutely hear the pain in your voice. I feel that pain, man. I'm there with you. I get it when you say that it hurts your feelings that these things are happening. And you have a right to have your feelings hurt. That's okay. The question now is, what do you do about it? And my challenge to you is to be an adult, and when you're hurt, treat yourself and everybody around you well.
Share that vulnerability. Ask for what you want.
Good luck.
Well, I do think that wraps it up for today's show. I want to give a shout out to our awesome Poly Weekly Playmates for your generous donations this week. We do keep this resource free. We've helped hundreds of thousands of people navigate their introduction to polyamory. Oh, by the way, I wanted to give a shout out to our Spotify listeners. We've been available on Spotify for a few months now. I'm actually working on getting us an Alexa skill, if you can believe it. Working on it's going to take a little bit. But we want you to be able to listen to Poly Weekly however you want to listen to Poly Weekly. And if you prefer it through Spotify, we want you to be able to listen through Spotify or Alexa or Overcast or your Android phone, Apple Podcast, whatever. We want to be everywhere. If you have a question or comment, like Cesar did, call 802-505-POLY, email polyweekly@gmail.com. If you're fascinated about this Fixing Things When They Break class that we have referenced today, email lustyguy@polyweekly.com to find out how we can teach this class at your next event or group. And yes, we do things through Google Hangouts or Skype. If you don't have the big old budget to fly us in there, we're happy to help that way. You can also find us on facebook.com/polyweekly, on Twitter @polyweekly and @cunningminx. And all over the internet, just do a search for Poly Weekly. Our website is polyweekly.com, where you can find all of the show notes from over 500 shows. You can find our books, our upcoming classes, and a wealth of searchable information to hopefully help with your poly issue as well.
She does all that without notes, by the way. Just for the record, I'm amazed. I'm sitting here watching just because she remembers she's doing it. Like, I got my screen in front of me. I can't remember my name without my notes. And she just did it.
You do it 500 times. Sometimes you remember a little something.
I still forget all kinds of things I've done 500 times.
Well, I think we're the part where we say...
I forgot. What do we say?
Thanks for listening. And remember,
it's not all about the sex.